Welcome to Vacuum Wars, and to our review of the Roborock Qrevo Edge S5A, Roborock's variant model on the Qrevo Edge series. We really liked the original Edge when we tested it last year, so much so that it immediately became our number one pick at the time. This variant has a lot of similarities with the original Edge, but at a lower price point. We bought one and ran it through our full battery of tests over the last few weeks to see whether it could follow in its predecessor's footsteps and earn a spot on our top 20 robot vacuum list on our website. Links are in the description, and let's get started. Starting with the basics, the Edge S5A is a mid-range robot vacuum and mop combo and often sells for somewhere around $800. The Edge S5A is the only current member in the Qrevo Edge series from what we can see, with the original Edge being apparently retired. The Curve S5X is a very similar model with a lot of shared features, and for reference, I'll compare our results for both of them during this review. Moving on to the pros. This new Edge robot had a few outstanding scores in a number of areas. First, the vacuum itself was really impressive. It uses Roborock's Duo Divide main brush and the FlexiArm extending side brush to reach debris in corners. The robot did well at sweeping debris of all sizes from both the surfaces of hard floors and carpets, and Roborock robots usually do a great job with this. But the real shocker was in the carpet deep clean test, where we embed sand and fine grit into medium pile carpet and weigh how much the robot can get out. The S5A managed to vacuum a whopping 96%, which is the highest number we've ever recorded in this test, tying with Roborock's Q10 S5 and the older Roomba S9. The Curve S5X also had a really high score there, so this is definitely a pattern we're seeing on Roborocks with the S5 designation. We were also really happy with how the S5A managed long hair. The Duo Divide brush has a gap in the middle to channel long hair through the port to prevent it from wrapping around the brush. This design has always done really well in our 7-inch hair test, and it got another perfect score on this model, with 0% of the hair wrapping around the brush. Mopping was another big pro. It uses dual mop pads that spin at 200 RPM with 30 water flow settings. The pads lift 10 millimeters over carpets so that the robot can clean hard floors and carpets in the same run, and one pad extends to the side for mopping along edges. This system performed really well in our dried-on coffee test, where it got a score of 124 points, which was much higher than average. In addition to stain pickup, we also take into account how much water the mops leave behind, since too much water can lead to streaks. The mop did really well, with a below-average amount of water, and combined with its stain score, it had a great overall mopping score that was well above average. Navigation was another big pro. The robot uses a top-mounted spinning LiDAR sensor to map and route the floor plan. This model had a great navigational efficiency performance in our tests, covering 0.83 square meters per minute. This was about 15% more efficient than the average, and the Curve S5X, which uses the same technology, had an almost identical score. Battery efficiency was also good, and the robot was able to run 1.6 minutes per 1% of battery life. Between the navigation and battery scores, the Edge S5A could cover about 1,440 square feet per charge, which had a nice clearance over the average of 1,170. The dock is a pro, with a number of automations that are important for less hands-on maintenance. The dock will automatically empty the robot's dustbin into a disposable dust bag and refill the mop water tank. It washes the mop pads with hot water at 167 degrees Fahrenheit, or 75 degrees Celsius, and dries it with warm air. Intelligent dirt detection can sense high levels of dirt to trigger a rewash of the mop and another round of mopping. The dock can clean itself with hot water, and the base tray detaches for easy manual cleaning. Roborock's app is always a pro in our opinion, with many controls that give the user a lot of fine-tuning abilities. The app supports room customization, zone cleaning, no-go and no-mop zones, adjustable suction and water levels, and the option to mop in the same direction as the floorboards, which reduces the appearance of streaks. The Edge S5A did a little worse than average in our pet hair pickup test, where we flattened 2.5-inch pet hair onto carpet to see how well the robot can pick it up. The robot picked up 78% of the hair, which was close to average, but it was way below the Curve S5X, which got a much higher than average score. It also got below average in our suction bench tests, despite the very high official suction claim of 18,500 pascals. This was similar to the Curve variant, and they got the exact same below average airflow score as well. These bench tests don't concern us much because its carpet score and general pickup are so strong. The dustbin is a little smaller than average, which can lead to some overfilling. And while the original Edge had some extra threshold reach, This variant is only going to be able to handle a standard threshold of about 20 millimeters. Moving on to the cons, there's one really big shift that those familiar with the original Edge will notice, and that's its obstacle avoidance system. The original Edge used a combination of structured light and an RGB camera to detect small objects in its path. This gave the first Edge a pretty good score at the time of 16 out of 24 objects. However, the Edge S5A has dropped the camera from its system and now only uses structured light. This seriously limits the robot's ability to sense small items in its environment, and this showed up in our obstacle avoidance test. Between our standard tests and our torture test, the S5A was only able to avoid 6 out of 24 possible objects. This was way below average, and it exposed what we think is the biggest weakness in this otherwise really capable robot. We recommend taking a little more care in preparing the floor before running the robot, tidying up cables, toys, socks, or other small things that it will likely have a hard time sensing. When we reviewed the data and totaled up the scores, we found that the Edge S5A did indeed find its way onto our top 20 robot vacuum list at time of testing. It tied for our highest score ever in our carpet deep clean test, and its mopping performance was great in both stain removal and water usage. But obstacle avoidance was a notable weakness. You can find all of our favorite robots on our website, where we not only recommend our favorite robots overall, but also our favorites by price tier. Don't forget to subscribe to Vacuum Wars before you go. Thanks for watching! Vacuum Wars independently tests new vacuums year-round, and the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our latest top picks across multiple categories. You'll also find detailed rankings on the Vacuum Wars website, including our top 20 robot vacuums, top cordless vacuums, and more. Every review here is unsponsored, just honest results. Subscribe so you never miss one, and tap the next video to keep watching.